and welcome back. Yes, this is the weathering video. Although not, well, completely comprehensive, it's going to be a case of what I'm going to show you, the techniques that I'm going to show you is pretty much the whole package, the whole kit is done that way, purely because of how the actual aircraft is made. You're not going to get all these sort of like metal chips and all that kind of stuff. It's basically going to be most of it all grime. The chips that I have put on the actual areas, as in the canopy and parts of the metal bits, as in the cowling and all the rest of it, are done with a grey. In fact, it was the medium sea grey, which is for the underneath. So I didn't want anything too stark, but if you do see that, that's basically what it is. But overall, it's going to be a question of using oils from Havilland and the MiG ammo and maybe a bit of the old AK Interactive thrown in there as well. So it's basically oils, and that's basically it. And what I'm going to show you now is what I'm going to do. So sit tight and just watch the video. So there's a little taster of what I'm going to be using. It's the Havilland, the old 502 range. I won't be using the blue and the green. As I'm showing my stuff, it's a collection of AK and MiG ammo, mostly MiGs, sort of like all entendre type things. Anyway, what I'm doing is I've thinned down the Havilland, which is the burnt sienna. So I thought it'd be quite dark, but when you actually see it going on, it turns out to be rather light. Whether it's the camera or the actual paint, I'm not sure. Anyway, all I've done is, like I said, I've heavily thinned the actual oil paints down, and I've used X20, the enamel thinner that Tamiya make, and it is really, really good. It does work really well. It's strong, but at the same time, it doesn't ruin your paintwork. I haven't tried it on enamels per se, because I think really that's, you're asking for it there. But for attackers and also the Tamiya acrylic paint, it works really, really well. So all it is a question of just tapping the actual area that you want, as in the paddle lines and any sort of like riveting detail or anything you really want to make a little bit grubby. Now, when we're talking grubby, all I'm sort of like thinking of is the air crew, as in not the air crew, the ground crew even. Open up panels, tinkering with the engine, running their hands down on the cell, tapping it and saying good luck babe and all that kind of stuff. That type of scenario. And it's just going to be a case of, little handprints, fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be completely kicking the ass out of this, but it is going to show a bit of wear. Okie dokie. So I'm going to carry on with this. So when I got to the point where I was happy with what I was doing, I went straight to this one, which is the Dark Wash by MiG Ammo. It is really quite dark and it suits really well for this kit. Now, obviously you can see this is the upper side of the wing and the fuselage, and it is a simple case of doing exactly the same. I've thinned it down with only a very touch of X20 thinner, the enamel, and it's just a case of just tapping and flowing. Or you can actually do it the other way around, where you can actually put the thinners actually onto the kit first and then do it. It's completely up to you. There's no right or wrong with this. So all I've done is to tap and flow all over the place where I would think that it's going to accumulate grime, dust, rubbish and all other kinds of stuff that accumulates on this particular aircraft. So then, to take it off, I'm basically just using a dedicated brush, and this is all I use it for. As you can see, there's quite a lot of thinners on, and that's what I do. I just plaster the thinner on and just work the actual wash around the actual areas themselves. I take some off more in some areas and leave it on others. For that one, it just sort of like breaks it up. And instead of having sort of like a really flat line going over the panel or near the panel, I tend to sort of like move it sort of like up and down so it's uneven, if that makes sense. It's a case of like, you don't want it all accumulated all in a nice neat row. You want it sort of like all over the place. Some parts are more heavily worn than others. So it's just a case of just trying to break it up and not make it look that I've literally just come across the kit with a paintbrush and gone blip, 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 and that's it, done. It's all a case of just trying to make it as realistic as you possibly can. And again, also, if you do look at, say, period pictures, you will see that a lot of them, well, they're all different. They all accumulate dirt in areas in different ways and different measures as well. So to take it off as well, I do use a cotton bud, and it's just a case of just taking the excess enamel off the actual kit itself, and also just trying to like soften, dampen the actual parts that I've actually used to actually to weather. So there you go. Oh look, I'm doing it a bit quicker now. So yeah, carry on, and yeah, I'll speak to you soon. So as I said in the beginning of the video, the actual weathering process is going to be pretty much exactly the same all over the kit. Now here I've got the sort of like the cover for the Browning 303s, the front part of the gun bay, and it's a simple case again. You just dot in the grime around and just making it as random as you possibly can around the areas where said part of kit or actual aircraft is actually going to be either moved or dismantled in some way. So yeah, it's just a question of having a look at some period pictures and just do it, just go for it, and hopefully you'll get some really, really good results. The results that I've got here, I'm really happy with, and they are going to stay. I don't need to change them. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. So onwards then, it was a case of just doing the other bits of the cowling where they are going to be detached, as in I'm going to be showing the starboard engine, the same as Rob. And yeah, it's got to be done the same way. If not, it's just going to look a bit, well, yeah, a bit odd. Now, with the actual side part of the cowling, as in where the exhaust shroud will be, I really did want to make it a little bit, well, quite considerably sort of like dirtier than the rest, purely because of A, what's coming out of it, and B, I was actually said, I mean, it may be quite sort of like a common thing to think or say, is that a Merlin engine isn't a Merlin if it's not leaking. Or something to that description. Maybe someone in the comments can actually do the real thing. But anyway, I wanted to make it sort of like pretty, sort of like, yeah, you know, it's been worked on. It's got leaks. It's got this, that, and the other. It's got issues. It's got this, that, and the other. And that's basically what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, just making it sort of like as distorted and as dirty as I think it would be, and even after looking at sort of like period pictures. And again, my apologies for the camera shake. Yeah. Never mind, move on. So, it wasn't just the dark wash I was using. I was using the other Aptolon oils, as in the burnt sienna, the Seeper, and the AK Interactives landing gear wash, and the fresh engine oil, and amongst other things as well. But again, they were just done exactly the same way, but well, with the engine oil, I was streaking them, as it were. Yeah, I wasn't getting my clothes off, I was just streaking. So yeah, that's basically the whole thing, really, what I'm doing with the actual kit itself. Now, although I haven't shown you really a lot of the actual weathering process, again, to do it would be, in my eyes, a bit boring, because it's going to be the same thing all over. So if you can just take what I've shown you on this, that's going to be basically the whole thing. The only sort of like exception which I've done is the weathering with the underneath, and yes, aircraft do weather underneath, where it's just going to be sort of like spits and spots of enamel earth and bits and pieces like that. It was subtle, or it is subtle, because you've also got the tyre guards or the wheel guards there on the actual aircraft to stop that type of thing. So it's just going to be sort of like very random, sort of like, you know, splashes of dirt, oil, and whatever else is on the actual airfield. So yeah, so that's it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.